Remember, the shortcut to the framing is to, ensure we're being genuine and sincere, and then a lot of that will take care of itself. But it's also really interesting when you present yourself somewhere, what kind of frame you're using. So for Echo Golden Seed and WX9627177572, when you present yourself, you're using a frame, and it's often unconscious. For us guys, when we talk to chicks for the first time, we often tell them stories, and we don't often think about, but why? We might tell them stories so they like us. It might not get the result, but it's what we do. We tell stories that make us look cool. So the frame we're using is we're cool. If we're going for a job interview, we might frame ourselves as an expert, but we also may frame ourselves as desperately needing a job. And that's not a good frame to have. So we've got to pay more attention to the frame we put ourselves in when we sell ourselves, or to a girl or an employer. And that's one thing I really like about having good friendships and people I trust, because when we have deep friendships with people, we can often throw the frames aside. And, when you got really good friends or best friends, it's like frames can just go out the window, and you can be more of your true self, and you can accept each other, even though you might have totally different beliefs and stuff. You can communicate to each other with such respectful frames.
And frame is something we are using in NLP to describe context.
The frame goes around the context. Then rather than changing the context, we could change the frame. Mm-hmm. And every now and then I switch maybe to from a social frame to an outcome frame. I'm enjoying being social. I enjoy sharing with Michelle, Jay, Darko, Adrian, Echo. I enjoy being social. Golden Seed's not contributing right now, but I enjoy the social aspect, knowing that Golden Seed's here as well, and Jackie. So I enjoy the social aspect, but every now and then I switch frames to an outcome frame. And I go, just want to quickly make sure there's some value in this for someone that's listening. So every now and then I'll switch to the outcome frame. What's our greater outcome here? I want to make sure everyone walks away with something. So I'll go from the social frame to the outcome frame. What's a little nugget for these guys? And then back to the social frame. Echo, important when crossing a border, for example. Crossing a border, we might be very social, but when we cross a border, we might want to enter a particular frame. Okay. How do we want to frame it? So how do you want to frame it? How do you want to frame yourself if you're going across a border, for a stamp and then coming back? What do you want? Yeah.
Probably abiding by the rules and regulations, and being more friendly, and asking for, probably being more friendly. It's okay.
Right. I get the very first bit. Law abiding. I'm a citizen. I'm a law abiding student, or I'm a law abiding person. And the purpose of that, right? And then you mentioned friendly. What's the purpose in the friendly?
Some people are naturally, I don't know, but then in Africa, some people are naturally aggressive. So maybe calming them down, you have to be friendly or smile a lot.
And it shows them you're safe.
To have the same effect on them.
Dude, you're a natural NLPer.
Yeah. So also this says that the frames are determining our emotional state. So if we not feel good, just change the frame, and
So, Darko, can you elaborate on that? Changing the frame, changing your emotional state?
For example, I can feel, it reminds me this talking of Eko, who says, make the frame to be friendly. So maybe me as a person I'm not much, do not like to socialize or do not like to respond in some event. And then I'm in frame, let's say unsocial frame or shy frame. But if I want to go to somewhere to gain visa or things like that, then I need to change the frame, change the self-talk, and I'll go to show in front of the people. I need to use to be friendly. So my frame is changed.
Okay.
That is
So
behind
a
the
light,
talk.
respectful, law-abiding frame for the
Yes.
visa office.
Yes, it is also with ASIF frame. So ASIF frame does not mean that we need to use ASIF, but in some situation we can, let's say, I'm not confident because the thing I'm researching the skills of confidence. Let's say I'm feeling not confident in some situations, but there is situation which is very important for me, and I need to go through it. So I need to change my frame around me and to show myself confident. that is the use as if. So I'm acting as if I'm confident, but maybe I'm not confident at that moment. So that is the usage of as if.
Would you guys like to learn something new, something very useful, something that expert speakers use around the world when it comes to framing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, not all expert secrets, not all expert speakers use this, but this is one of the best tools or one of the best strategies I've seen for speaking in front of the masses, and Tony Robbins is a big one of this. Now, you know, Tony Robbins is a master NLP practitioner. He's just very, very good at the basics. And one thing Tony Robbins does, which a lot of people are unaware of, is framing. So he's constantly pre-framing and post-framing the events. But while he's talking, you know, he might be like, you know, sometimes you're right, you know, and you're blaming someone else, you know, and they do this and they do that, you know. Sometimes you just gotta get down and do something. So this particular frame, this one right here, you see my body language and you see perhaps the muscles in my face getting tighter. And what I'm doing is called the blamer. Yeah, it's a bit aggressive and it's like blaming, right? So when Tony puts his body in this particular direction or this way, when he puts his body here, he has this anchored so that he automatically steps into the frame of the blamer. So he'll tell a story, and his story might be about a man who was freaking pissed off at the world, and his wife, such a beautiful soul. She just wants to make him happy. She's like, please, please, please be happy. I'll do anything to make you happy. And the man was like, So you see there's two different frames here, and there's two different sets of anchors or frames that go with it. You got the blamer frame, pointing the finger, voice going a particular way, and we call it the placator. Just want to please, please, please my husband, please, or please whatever. Now, I've just given you an example of an angry man and perhaps a pleasing wife, but a boy or a man could also be a pleaser. You know, when I was a boy, I just wanted to please my parents, like, please. I was just like non-assertive. I wouldn't disagree. I would agree. I was always seeking their approval, trying to avoid conflict. You know, my main concern is how will they accept me, how other people perceive me, versus the blamer is constantly finding faults in others, never accepting responsibility, always blaming, tough, and I'm going to initiate conflict because I'm a tough, I'm a blamer. I just want acceptance. So there's 2, but there's a couple more. Would you like to hear a couple more?
So they're the different frames, or we're talking about anchoring the frames with different positions so that the minute you stand into those positions, your unconscious automatically picks up that frame.
Bang on, bang on. Now there's 5 particular frames. First we've got the blamer, then we've got the placator, please, 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 and then we have the computer. You know, computer is very, you know, like correct, proper, no emotion. Could appear cold, perhaps, faceless, no emotion. Information in, information out. Perhaps in a husband and wife situation, I hear the information, but no emotional response. Speak, no emotional response. The computer, straight, front on. That's the 3rd one. The 4th one is distractor. You know, I deliberately have the blamer and the distractor as being opposite feet forward. And as I repeat these, it becomes easier and easier for me to anchor and also for the audience watching to anchor. Oh, he's that person. Oh, he's a distractor. So the distractor is like, you know, I'm like distracting. It's like, is it over there? Or is it over there? You know, I'm distracting attention to, you know, compensate for my feelings of inadequacy. Perhaps. So rather than being aggressive, oh, what's that over there? You know, I might use a little bit of a blamer or a little bit of a computer, perhaps, and I might just, go over there a little bit, and I might sidestep, and I might be like, oh, come on, please, sir, over there. Distractor, or maybe switch between them, but it's all about distracting. It's distracting and, you know, pushing attention other ways to avoid the issue or manipulate. So that's 4. And the last one, and by the way, this comes from Virginia Satir. Virginia Satir was a second person modeled by Richard Bandler, or the first really modeled with Richard Bandler and John Grinder together. Now, John Grinder and Richard Bandler, they followed Virginia around the country, and she did some amazing work. So she developed this, and she would often have like a husband or a wife that were kind of stuck in one of these positions. One of those 4 positions, and she used a 5th position to get to peace. And maybe she could teach them unconsciously how to step up into the leveler, or she would be the leveler herself. So number 5 would be the leveler. This is assertive, emotional balance, can relate to all of them. Okay, I can hear what you're saying, blamer. I can hear what you're hearing, placator or pleaser. I can see their computer is not showing emotion, but I know the computer cares. And the distractor, I can see the distractor has needs. In fact, you all have needs. Everybody here has needs. And would you all like to get more of your needs met? Great. I think it'd be really wonderful if everyone can write out what you need in 5 words or less. Okay, everyone, write out what you need in 5 words or less. So the leveler has a communication strategy, which is really good for resolving conflict and bringing people together. Yeah, it's real time, it's congruent, it's because they care, and they can get everybody, blamer, placator, distractor, computer, they can get everybody to focus on perhaps writing out their intent, or perhaps get them more focused on just listening to her. So the leveler is the 5th category. So we've got 1, the blamer,
And
the placator, the computer, the distractor, or over that way, doing a bit of all, and then the leveler, helping them come to great conclusions. That's the Virginia Satir categories. We've got a beautiful PDF which goes into more detail on how to use this. You guys can check that out a little bit later.
I would like to ask a question. There's this man I listen to on YouTube.
Sorry, is that the
He's
distractor
called-
coming in?
Yeah,
Distractor in
in
the background.
His name in the background.
Sorry.
Sorry. There's this man I listen to on YouTube. He's called Jordan Peterson. I wanted to know the frame he uses because sometimes he can be very emotional when he's speaking, and I wish to know the frame he uses.
Great.
If you know him.
Yeah. He'll use a variety of a variety of the frames, but he will try to step up to the level.
Okay.
And sometimes he'll seem aggressive, and he really wants to point the blame sometimes. But then he'll step up and go, "Come on, we all need to step up."
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson's. If you look at the levels, he's pretty switched on. Now, being switched on or very conscious doesn't necessarily mean you won't have some gremlins in the closet or some shadow work or some healing to do. He might have to do some own inner work still, but he's quite developed. And yeah, I'm a bit of a fan. I don't think I've only listened to little snippets of his work here and there. And I think I downloaded his book. I listened to an hour. I'm like, it's cool. Got it, sweet. Some of my clients went through it all, had conversations about each one with me. He was like, yep, on track. I like his parenting stuff as well. Sometimes his work is taken out of context and he's a bit bastardized sometimes by people who have taken a bit of the context out. If you ever see any bit where people are critical, just expand the frame a bit. Yeah, so each of those positions, there'd be a bit of an anchor for it. But when Tony's sharing a story, or if Jordan's sharing a story, when he switches between the husband and wife are having a conversation, either one can be the blamer. Either one can be the placater. But having the anchor helps him do it. And if you're watching it as well, unconsciously, when he switches between, unconsciously you pick it up and you recognize. So when he repeats a story, or if he goes into a story for 10, 20 minutes, you very quickly pick up and you might see the differences in his eyes or slight differences in his faces, and your unconscious picks up when he's in each character. That makes him an expert storyteller.
Okay.
And if you see guys like Simon Sinek, why they don't know about this yet? Probably not, because they're still in their marketing stage. They haven't developed this yet.
I think Michelle has some question.
Yeah, the anchor positions, are they specifically for Tony Robbins, or they're a bit more universal?
Oh, totally universal. Very universal. I just mentioned Tony because that's where a lot of people see it, and a lot of people study Tony. They study Tony instead of studying NLP, so they don't get this bit. And it's on some of the advanced training that we do. So Tony got it from Virginia. Virginia said this is universal.
Because when you did the leveler, this hand gesture was really universal. Yes, I come in peace. I'm non-threatening. I'm very, open. I can see everything. That struck me as very universal.
And that
doesn't
matter where you are. People know.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to please. And the computer, we get the computers, I'm very emotional. Oh, trauma. Heartbreak. Your uncle just died. My wife just had a kid. Computer would be as well. And then, Virginia would step up to the leveler to get a resolution. Now, if you really want to practice a skill and develop a skill, you might want to pick one character, blamer, and next time you get to school or a class, It'd probably be good actually if you develop more of the leveler first. Make sure you got that leveler drilled down first. Okay, then in class, turn on the blamer. Turn on the blamer and then go leveler. You know, maybe you could even blame, and you could say, oh, I can't believe I was just blaming. You know, sometimes I feel like it's other people's fault, but you know, it's up to us to be at cause for how we live through life. Yet just moments ago, I was feeling angry. Have you ever felt angry?
Of course.
And maybe you can teach other kids or to switch between angry and leveler. And then, you know, a week later or a couple of, try the pleaser and then go pleaser to leveler. Hang on, I got to respect my boundaries. Can't believe. Have you ever not respected your boundaries? So, you know, leveler, placater. So you could do the first one for a week, the second one for a week, the third one computer for a week, the fourth one distractor for a week, all while you're practicing switching them to the leveler. Could be a great way to educate yourself and others. And perhaps in the process, if there are particular students that have a lot of anger, you might be able to get all of them across to do leveler. And then perhaps a week later, you're getting all the pleasers to be more a leveler. And then you're getting all the computers and the distractors to be more of a leveler. That could be wonderful in a classroom. And Michelle, could I make this an assignment at your Montessori school?
Did Ben tell you that I got bitten last week? One of my kids bit me last week. So he definitely needs to go from the blamer to the leveler.
Wonderful, great way to learn that. It's a blessing for a teacher. Parents can do this as well. This would be absolutely excellent for parents, for teachers. And I actually just thought it was good for speakers, but now I'm really seeing how much bigger and how much more useful this could be.